She finds out on a Tuesday afternoon, not from him, from a patient. A woman calls the house looking for her physician, Dr. Kevin Hargrove. She sounds polite, a little confused. She says she has been trying to reach the office for 3 days, and no one is picking up. She says Dr. Hargrove adjusted her blood pressure medication at her last appointment, and she has been feeling strange ever since. She wants to know if that is normal. Amanda Hargrove holds the phone and says nothing for a moment. Then she says she will pass the message along. She hangs up. She sits down on the kitchen floor. Because Kevin is not a doctor. He never was. And somewhere out there, a woman is waiting for a callback from a man who has no idea what he did to her blood pressure, or what he has done to the dozens of patients who trusted him with their lives. This is the story of Kevin Hargrove and the wife who had no idea who she married. Phoenix, Arizona, 2017. Amanda is 34. She works in nonprofit fundraising. She is organized, perceptive, and by her own description, not easily impressed. She has been to enough charity galas to know the difference between people who are genuinely accomplished and people who simply know how to dress the part. Kevin Hargrove impresses her anyway. He is 38 at the time, tall, well-dressed without being showy. He speaks in the measured, unhurried way of someone who has spent years delivering difficult news calmly. He says he is an internal medicine physician at a private practice on the north side of the city. Long hours, demanding patience, a career built on years of sacrifice, undergraduate, medical school, residency, board exams. The kind of path, he says, that leaves very little room for anything else, which is why, he adds with a slight smile, he has not been to many of these events before. Amanda finds him compelling, not just attractive, though he is that, but substantive. He talks about his patients with what sounds like genuine care. He mentions a case, without identifying details, where a patient came in convinced nothing was wrong and left with a diagnosis that saved his life. He says moments like that are why he does it. She gives him her number before the evening is over. They date for a year. He is consistent, reliable within the constraints of what she understands to be a demanding schedule. He cancels plans occasionally, always because of a patient, always apologetic, always with a specific enough reason that it feels real. He talks about medicine the way someone fluent in a language talks, naturally, without searching for words, without hesitation. She has no reason to question any of it. In 2018, they marry quietly, a small ceremony, close friends only. Kevin says he prefers privacy. His colleagues, he explains, can be overwhelming in social settings, the hierarchy, the politics. He would rather keep his personal life separate. Amanda understands that. She respects it. She builds her life around a man she believes is healing people. She has no idea he is methodically destroying her. 8 months into the marriage, a bill arrives. It is from a medical licensing board, addressed to Kevin, marked overdue. Amanda leaves it on the counter. That evening, she asks him about it. He picks it up, glances at it, sets it back down. Bureaucratic backlog, he says. The licensing boards are slow. They send overdue notices before the online payment even processes. It happens every year. He says he will take care of it. She believes him. She will spend a long time afterward asking herself why. The honest answer is that it is one piece of paper in a marriage with a man who has given her no reason to dig deeper. Suspicion requires a threshold. One overdue notice from an administrative body does not reach it. 3 months later, a woman calls the house. She introduces herself as a physician colleague of Kevin's. She is friendly. She is calling because Kevin's cell is going to voicemail, and she wanted to pass along some information about a conference. In the course of the conversation, she mentions offhand that it is a shame Kevin missed the residency program reunion last fall, that nobody from the program seems to have kept in touch with him, that it is strange, really. She barely knows him, even though they supposedly trained together. Amanda laughs it off in the moment. She says Kevin has always been private. The woman agrees, says something polite, and the call ends. But Amanda cannot stop thinking about it. It is not one thing, it is the bill, and now this. 2 small disconnections, 2 moments where the story does not quite fit together. That night, after Kevin falls asleep, she opens her Kevin Hargrove, Phoenix, internal medicine. The search returns almost nothing. No practice website, no physician profile, no mentions in local news or medical directories. For a doctor supposedly running a private practice, the digital footprint is nearly invisible. She tells herself that some physicians simply do not maintain an online presence, that it means nothing. She searches the Arizona Medical Board's license lookup tool. She types his name. No results. She tries variations. Kevin D. Hargrove, K. Hargrove, M.D. She searches for the practice address he gave her when they first started dating. She finds the building. She finds a list of tenants. His practice is not among them. She sits with that for a long moment. Then she searches deeper. What she eventually uncovers is not a gap. It is a construction. Kevin Hargrove has not simply fabricated a medical career from nothing. He has borrowed one. He has assumed the identity of a real physician, a man named Dr. Kevin R. Hargrove, who practiced internal medicine in Arizona and retired in 2015. Same name, close enough in age, credentials that, if anyone checked casually, would return legitimate results for the real Dr. Hargrove, results that the fake one could borrow without detection. The real Dr. Hargrove retired quietly. He is not active online. He does not maintain professional profiles. He simply stopped practicing and disappeared from public records, which left a name with a clean history and no one monitoring it. Kevin, Amanda's Kevin, had found it and used it for years. Amanda contacts the Arizona Medical Board directly the next morning. She gives them the name, the practice address, the details Kevin told her. The investigator she speaks to pauses for just a moment too long before responding. She already knows then. The Arizona Medical Board refers the case to the FBI within 48 hours. What investigators find over the following week is staggering in its scope. Kevin has been seeing patients for 3 years. Real patients. People who came to him with chest pain, hypertension, diabetes, anxiety. People who described their symptoms and trusted the man across the desk to interpret them correctly. He had written prescriptions, ordered lab work, made referrals, done all of it with the confidence and vocabulary of someone trained to do it, because he had spent years learning how to perform the role convincingly. He had no medical degree. He had never attended medical school. His undergraduate degree, investigators discover, is real. He studied biology, graduated, and then, instead of applying to medical school, he studied something else entirely, how to impersonate a physician without getting caught. The investigation also reveals something that shakes Amanda far more than the fraud itself. Kevin has done this before, not once, twice. In 2004, under a different name, he posed as a family medicine physician in Indiana for 14 months before a pharmacist flagged an unusual prescription pattern and reported it. He was investigated but not charged at that point due to insufficient evidence. In 2007, he attempted the same scheme in Tennessee. This time he was caught within 6 months. He was charged with fraud and impersonation of a medical professional. He served 2 years in an Ohio correctional facility. Was released in 2009. He did not stop. He refined. He studied the gaps in the verification systems. He learned which states had slower licensing board response times. He chose a retired physician's identity instead of a fabricated one. He picked a specialty, internal medicine, broad enough that the range of conditions he might encounter would not require hyper-specialized knowledge. He built a life around the lie so completely that when people looked at Kevin Hargrove, they saw exactly what he wanted them to see. Amanda was not his first wife built on this deception. She was his third. The first left him before the Indiana scheme collapsed. She never knew what he was. The second found out during the Tennessee arrest. She has never spoken publicly about it. Amanda finds all of this out over the course of several days, sitting across from FBI investigators in a conference room, answering questions about a man she thought she knew. Kevin is arrested within the week. Case against Kevin he moves quickly by legal standards. The evidence is extensive. Patient records, forged credentials, financial records showing income from the fraudulent practice over 3 years, digital records showing how he researched and adopted the retired physician's identity, testimony from patients who had no idea the man treating them was not qualified to do so. He is charged with fraud, criminal impersonation of a medical professional, and multiple counts of reckless endangerment of patients. His defense argues that no patient suffered direct physical harm traceable to his care, that his biological knowledge was sufficient for the cases he handled, that he was, in effect, competent even without credentials. The prosecution counters with something simpler. Competence is not the standard, qualification is. The patients who sat across from Kevin Hargrove did not consent to being treated by an imposter. They believed they were receiving care from a licensed physician. That belief, that trust, was stolen from them, and the risk that belief concealed was not theoretical. It was real. Every prescription he wrote, every diagnosis he delivered, every referral he made or did not make, all of it done without the training, the oversight, or the accountability that the medical licensing system exists to enforce. The jury deliberates for less than 4 hours. Kevin is convicted on all counts. He is sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. Amanda is in the courtroom when the sentence is read. She does not react visibly. She has already done her grieving. Amanda spends 2 years in therapy after the trial. She rebuilds slowly. She returns to her work in nonprofit fundraising. She moves to a different part of the city. She is careful for a long time about who she lets close. In an interview she gives to a journalist about 2 years after Kevin's sentencing, she is asked what she finds hardest to live with. She does not hesitate. It is not that she was deceived, she says. She has made a kind of peace with that. She was targeted by someone who had spent years perfecting how to deceive people exactly like her. The manipulation was deliberate and sophisticated. She does not blame herself for missing it. What she cannot let go of is the patience. The people who went to Kevin Hargrove because something was wrong with them, because they were scared or in pain or trying to take care of themselves. People who were already vulnerable and who handed that vulnerability to a man who had no right to hold it. She thinks about the woman who called the house that Tuesday afternoon, looking for her physician, worried about her blood pressure medication. She thinks about how many others there were, how many people left Kevin's office with a diagnosis they did not know to question, a prescription written by a man with no training, reassurance offered by someone with no grounds to offer it. That, she says, is what she will never forgive him for. Not the marriage, not the lies, not the years she gave to a fiction, the patience. They deserved better, and they never even knew they had been wronged. Kevin Hargrove is currently serving his sentence. The real Dr. Kevin R. Hargrove, the retired physician whose identity was stolen, was never implicated. Investigators confirmed he had no knowledge of or connection to the fraud. Several of Kevin's former patients have pursued civil action. Amanda has not remarried. She says she is not closed to it. She just takes longer now to believe what people tell her about themselves, which, she says, is probably how it should have been all along. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Hidden Lives. New episodes every week. Next week, she is 7 years into her marriage. Happy, trusting, stable. Then a friend sends her a screenshot. Her husband's dating profile, active, updated, created 6 months after their wedding. She recognizes the photo. It is one she took